and gentlemen, it is Saturday, November 30th, 2019. Welcome to Saturday Movie Night. If you are joining me after the live broadcast, this is a Patreon-only exclusive to levels number 2 and 3 on my Patreon in terms of the live feed, the live broadcast. Once the live feed is done, then it goes right up onto my channel for everybody to watch. And this essentially is, Saturday Movie Night is where I give live commentary and answer questions with my patrons. What am I trying to say here? It's been a long day. And the movie is voted on by level number 3, and then level number 2 and 3 get to tune into the broadcast. So if you're not a patron and that's something that interests you, we do this once a month. Feel free to check out my Patreon page in the link in the description. Sorry about that. It's been a long day. But so Saturday Movie Night, really exciting stuff. So tonight we are watching Sleepaway Camp, because Sleepaway Camp was the one that people voted on the most, but it barely knocked off Christine. John Carpenter's Christine was also in the list. Once a month, I put up 5 movies for my level number 3 patrons to vote on, and Sleepaway Camp just knocked off Christine. So maybe Christine will be in the list again down the road. So I believe this is 1983, if I'm not mistaken. Sleepaway Camp 1983. Am I right about that? Yes, it was released on November the 18th, 1983. So what, 12 days ago, essentially 2 weeks ago, it would have been 36 years. So that's pretty crazy stuff. If you see something white and gooey in my mouth, it's just because that sounded so bad. It's a piece of gum. I knew as soon as I said that, I walked right into that. As soon as I said that. Get your mind out of the gutter, ladies and gentlemen. But I have a piece of gum in my mouth, so that's... I can hear the comments now. All right, so if you have Sleepaway Camp, feel free to... feel free to tune in and start it with me, because... we're gonna watch it together. So it's gonna be fun. Who do we got in the chat room? We've got Jacqueline McEwen is here. Hey, Jacqueline, how are you? I have Amazon Prime, and it is available for free streaming there. Awesome stuff. David Ferguson says, hello, everyone. I hope you are all having a good evening. Frank Riker is here. Tabitha Short is here. Yay, Tabitha. Hey, guys, I had to buy this one because I don't own it, and I've never seen it. Oh, interesting. Well, this is a definitely interesting movie. Jason Knight is here as well, and some others have rolled on in, so this is going to be good. So, yeah, this is a movie that, I saw it once when I was a kid, and then I didn't see it again for years and years and years, because I'm not really familiar with the series. I have to admit, I've only seen the first film. It's not a film that I enjoyed enough where I thought, oh my God, I've got to watch the others. But I do know that the original is in its own right a cult classic, and I won't give anything away, Tabitha, but it's by and large, it's because of the ending of the movie. It's one of those, whoa, kind of endings. Other than that, it's pretty, run-of-the-mill, kind of low-budget, Friday the 13th-ish-esque. Although I think it's not as good as the original Friday the 13th. But that's just me. But there is a charm to it. And certainly, the acting isn't amazing, but it is, it's a low budget horror movie from the early 1980s. It cost about $300 and something thousand to make, although it did gross about $11 million at the box office. Now, of course, that's nowhere near something like Halloween, but on a $300,000 budget, 11 million bucks is you've made your money back and then some. So it was a box office success. It was moderately a critical success. It got mixed reviews. Now it's fallen into that category of cult sort of classic kind of thing. So that's what we're going to watch today. And Dave's got a little mum. Oh, yeah, yeah. Got to get the water going here. David Ferguson says, I saw it once back in the day. All I can remember is that bad mustache. Oh, yeah, don't worry. I'll be talking about that. Jason Knight says, camp slashers are almost its own subgenre. It's totally true. You're absolutely right about that. Okay, so we are, where are we here? Where's my stream? We are 6 minutes into the stream, so let's get this thing rolling. Okay. It's a completely different movie. Okay. Okay, there we go. Let me turn down the volume so I don't get any copyright issues. Okay, so I am starting. I'll let you know where I am here. So it is on the screen. It says, in fond memory of mom. That's a doer. In fond memory of mom, comma, a doer. That's what is on the screen right now. So I'm about to hit play. Okay, ready? 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. All right, here we go. Now, I love the building of this music. This actually feels very sort of ethereal, almost classic, old, like 50s kind of horror with this music that's building to this crescendo. And then we have, boom, we cut in, a smash cut in to Sleepaway Camp. And of course, and so far, like, I'm digging this. Like, it's fall, it's autumn. I love the clouds and the dark sort of sky. The camera's panning, across this lake. I like this. Like, so far, I'm like, yeah, like, I like this. It's very moody and atmospheric. Obviously, I like that kind of stuff. Jason Knight says, nice fall colors. Yeah, exactly. Totally on. Bang on, buddy. I agree with you 100%. Hey, I should put Indiana Jones on the list. Something tells me it's not going to get a lot of votes. I don't know. Maybe you guys will vote on it. I'm a big Indiana Jones fan. Oh, my camera was doing a few glitches there. Hopefully my camera's all right. Oh, if it does that, whatever. What are you going to do? It's not much I can do. Fucking technology, man. Yeah, I don't know why it's doing that. Why is my camera doing that, man? Oh, well, hopefully it'll work itself out. And I love these shots. Like, I love, the slow sort of pan across, and, it's that slow burn, right? And the music there, and, we're really, these establishing shots, which is what this is. For those of you that don't know the terms, they are establishing shots, which just simply means setting the scene, setting the, of where we are, and creating a mood. And I like this. And I don't know if it was again, it was low budget, and like really low budget. I don't know if it was intentionally shot on a cloudy day, or if the day they scheduled to go out and shoot this just so happened to be cloudy. Because that's entirely possible as well. I mean, when you are a low budget filmmaking crew, sometimes you got to take what you can get, right? Because each day is money. Money is, time is money. So, they may have looked at the weather report and thought, hey, you know what? It's going to be cloudy on Tuesday. Let's go out and shoot it on that day, and blah, blah, blah. That's entirely possible. Or it just may have been luck. And I don't know if it was intentional, but I love the cloudiness because it feels very autumn and fall. And I like that. Yeah, I don't know why my camera's doing that. I have no fucking idea. Frank Riker says, wait a minute. Crystal Lake? Yeah, it kind of feels that way a little bit, doesn't it? Camp? Is that Arawak? Camp Arawak? Whack? Am I saying that right? I haven't seen this movie in no, I guess I saw it earlier this year because Tony and I did something on it. Temple of Doom is my favorite, says Jason Knight. Yeah, Temple of Doom is my favorite too. It's not the best one. I think the best Indiana Jones film is Raiders of the Lost Ark, but it's certainly my favorite. Yeah, I don't know why the camera's doing that. Maybe I can see if I can hang on one second. Let me see if I can fix this. Okay. One sec. I'm going to disappear for just a second, but you'll still be able to hear me. Okay? You'll still be able to hear me, but I'm going to disappear because I'm going to see if I can fix this. Da-da-da. Okay, so you can still hear me. I've disappeared. Don't worry. I'm going to see if I can come back here. Well, not see if I can come back. I am going to come back. And Okay, there we go. There we go. That's right. 1 second. Okay, I'll be back in 2 seconds. Just fixing this up. We'll see if this makes a difference. Well, there I am. Da-da-da-da. Okay. I don't know if that's going to make a difference. Maybe I'll have to unplug and replug in my webcam, but we'll see. We'll see if that makes a difference. We shall see. So I'm at the point now where, of course, the boat was capsized and they're in the water, and then, you know, I mean, this is great. This is classic early 80s acting right here. Frank Riker says, this scene needs a shark. Frank, every water scene needs a shark, as far as I'm concerned. A shark. That's right, a freshwater shark. Jacqueline McEwen says, I haven't seen this movie for about 15 years, so I'm looking forward to watching it again. Yeah, it's not a good movie. Do you know what I mean? Like, I mean, obviously it's all relative, but I mean, it's one of those ones where it's cheesy and the acting's kind of bad, but it's got that iconic ending where, you know, and you can get some enjoy. It's just an early it's like a cheesy kind of, I think it's better. I think it's a little bit above The Burning. Now, I really like The Burning. I actually think I might like The Burning better than this movie. But I think this movie, in terms of its production, is a little... Get out of the way! Come on! Like, everybody's just, look at this woman. Ah! This woman. I mean, this girl. Look at this. Look at this. Here it comes. Oh! Ooh, oh my God! Oh my God! I mean, if this is not classic early 80s low budget independent, I'm not really an actor, just start screaming and yelling. This is fantastic. I love this. I love this. Look at everybody just standing there, just going, oh, like this, like, what's going on? Here comes a dead body floating by. Yes, yes, the money shot. I wonder how many times they shot that. I wonder how many. Oh, and to have the life jacket or the life jacket pop up right underneath, and it's all chewed up to give you the, you know, they've told, hey, this is what's you know happened here. Yeah, like I think it's fine. It's fine. I hate this woman. This woman who plays the mother. She's so like, oh my God. I hate this woman. Let me see here. Jason Knight says, I would actually like to see a remake of The Burning. I would too. I think there's a lot of potential there. Yep, I would too. David Ferguson says, Nessie or the Ogopogo would look good too. Oh, the Loch Ness Monster or the, I got you. Yeah. Anything. Donald Trump coming out. I've got you. This is my lake. It's my lake. It's a tremendous lake. It's amazing. Frank Riker says, you knew Sheriff Brody. I knew Sheriff Brody? Oh, Frank's detracted that. I'm not sure what you meant by that, Frank. Sheriff Brody in Jaws, yeah. Yeah, this woman is like, just needs like a... Yeah. Now, it's because this... Well, I can't say too much because it's going to give it away. And I know that Tabitha hasn't seen it. And there might be a few other people here that haven't seen it in a while. Like, you know. Well, I think... Yeah, so I don't want to give too much away. But just pay close attention because they do heavily allude to things. But... Oh, this woman's crazy. Is that Katy Perry? Yes! Yes, it is! It's Katy Perry! Who was the person that died before this movie was made? Wasn't it, was it Mike? Yeah, it was Mike Kellen. Mike Kellen. He died August 26th, 1983, so he died at the age of 61. He died only a few months before its release. Mike Kellen. Mike Kellen. I've seen him in other things too. Yeah, I'll point him out to you. That's his real name, Mike Kellen, and he plays Mel in the movie at the campsite. But he died a few months before this was released. I like that shot. I like that shot of the bus coming sort of down the street. It almost looks like they're coming into a, like out of the bushes. It was kind of funny. It was kind of weird. Jacqueline McEwen says, this aunt really creeped me out. Like something out of the Twilight Zone. Yeah, like she's very eccentric and over the top. Almost borderline cartoonish in some ways, but it works because the vibe of the movie is like, there's a lot of characters that are sort of like that. Check out this guy. Look at this guy. There's this guy who's ripped in his shorts. Hey, that's what it's like in the 80s, man. I mean, listen, I was only 4 in 1983, but even by the time we got to the mid 80s and the late 80s, I mean, I remember this. I mean, I remember, let's say in 1987, I would have been 8. Okay. I would have been 8 years old, but I remember wearing my socks up to like my knees. Like that trend lasted from probably about, it wasn't as big in the 80s. It was really big in the 70s. The tube socks, like up to your kneecaps, right? But definitely 70s, right through most of the 80s. You know, definitely not a 90s thing. Once the 90s hit, that, you know, it was like, what the hell are you doing wearing your tube socks that high? I would say like probably by like 88, 89. But I can remember in 88, 89, I might have been one of the last kids to wear them, because there are photos of me on vacation with my mom and my sister in Florida at Disney World in 1989, I think. And I would have been 10, and I had like a Beastie Boys t-shirt on with white tube socks pulled up to like my knees with a pair of Converse on or something. I mean, it was kids did dress like that. Yeah, we did. I mean, these kids here are probably about 10 years older than I was in 1983, but certainly the fallout, you know, the overlap was there. And I had older siblings too, so I naturally fell into a lot of the stuff that they were wearing. So it's just funny. David Ferguson says the mom looks borderline like a drag queen. A little bit. It's because she has bold features and a lot of makeup. And she's very strong, like a strong jaw. Whenever a woman has a strong jaw, and look, some women who have bold features can be absolutely gorgeous, stunning. It all depends, right? But that is definitely why would play a role anyway, a factor into it. Let's see here. Jason Ike says this is how they have to do a Friday movie: have kids in it and set it in the 80s. Yeah, I'd be down for that. I'm just all about, I don't know what, I mean, for those of you that are watching after the fact and even watching live, I'm at the scene now where the girls are in the cabin, and that, I forget the girl's name now, the snotty girl. She's just walked back into the cabin, and we're getting to know the girls of the group here. They're all lying on their cots and unpacking. And of course we have, what the hell? I'm having a major brain fart, which is ridiculous. Angela, that's right. I was like, why am I blanking on her name? Angela is sitting there, awkward, shy. Why is she shy, folks? Why is she shy? I mean, I know why. That's rhetorical. I'm just, playing into it. Frank Riker says, is that Mr. Furley from Three's Company? I think I know who you were pointing to. I think that was Mike Kellen. That's the older guy. Yeah, he was the one that died a couple of months before this was released. Jason Knight says, I remember watching Cujo at 4 or 5 years old that came out in 83. Yeah, Cujo was good. Frank says it's hard to imagine that no sacks fell out during this movie. Yeah, that's true. That's true. There was a lot of opportunity, especially with this handsomely built, muscle-bound, whatever happened to this guy anyway? Anybody know whatever happened to this guy? Oh, I'm really thirsty. I went for a run before my show, and I'm just, I'm catching up on the liquids. Thunderknock Studios is here, just joining now. Hey, Dave. Hey, buddy. How's it going? We're watching Sleepaway Camp, and we're at the scene here where the muscle-bound guy... Why am I forgetting all these people's names? Probably because it's not a movie I watch on a regular basis. Anyway, the camp counselor has taken Angela away from the cafeteria, and we're about... What are we? We're 14 minutes and 55 seconds into the movie. So 14 minutes, 55 seconds. We're in the back of we're in the kitchen now, and that creepy cook guy is coming out to meet Angela, and he's like, "Hey, baby." Well, not yet, but he's about to, or he's going to in a couple seconds. Now look at that. Look how close he gets. Like, it's just sick. Oh, and that's the idea, is that this guy is obviously a pervert. Thunderknock says, I've only seen Sleepaway Camp Part 2. Oh, interesting. I've only seen Part 1. I can't say I'm not a big fan of the series. I can't say that because I haven't seen it. But there wasn't anything in this movie that enticed me to see the second one. I just don't think it's that good of a movie. I'm not saying it's a bad movie. I'm just saying that, comparatively speaking, it's a cult classic. Yes, it is. And it's a classic in its own right. But I think that weighs heavily on, oh my God, the ending of that film. It's like, oh my God. It's kind of how I feel about Rogue One. I know that's a really weird comparison, but Rogue One, I don't think would have got nearly the praise it got. I'm not saying it's a bad movie. It's not. I didn't like it. I didn't enjoy it as much as I did The Force Awakens. I thought the characters were lackluster and dull. But that being said, it's not a bad movie. And I think, for the most part, the characters were lackluster for the most part. Here, I'm at the scene now where the cook is undoing his belt, and he's like, "Yeah, come on, baby." And then somebody comes in, he's like, "What's going on in here? What are you doing? Get out of here! You didn't see anything, you damn son of a bitch!" It's so melodramatic. He punches that box. I love that. So, I think Rogue One, that ending with Darth Vader made that movie. Because whenever anybody talks about Rogue One, they don't talk about anything else. They might talk about... there's a couple, but really, when everybody... They go directly to the ending of the movie. And that goes to show you that without that ending, what would Rogue One have been? And that ending was actually part of a reshoot. That wasn't in the original script. And this movie, I feel sort of the same way. Is that, although the ending in this movie does bring the entire narrative home, it is connected to everything that's going on, so that when you watch the movie again, you can start to piece these things together. So in that respect, it has that going for it over something like a Rogue One. I know these are two completely different films, and two completely different genres, and two completely different eras, but the principle is the same, is that I like this movie, but I just didn't like it enough, I guess, to really invest into the series. Frank Riker says, my wife says the theme from Meatballs should be playing now. Yes. Oh my God. You know what I should do? I should do an 80s comedy movie, Saturday movie. Maybe I'll do that to start the new year. Like put Revenge of the Nerds, Meatballs, Stripes, Animal House, like something like, like a list like that, and see which one wins. That'd be fun. It's different. Nice change of pace. Thunderknock Studio says Angela in Part 2 is played by Pamela Springsteen, who's the sister of Bruce Springsteen. I did not know that. Oh, I didn't know that Angela, the character of Angela, was in Sleepaway Camp 2. I know the actress who plays her is not. But she does come back for Part 3, I think, right? I thought see, this goes to show you how much I don't know. I thought the character was not in part 2. See, what's so great about the age group as well, I'm at the scene here where the cook is getting what he rightly deserves. Because his little run-in with Angela was not the first time. I mean, it was the first time with her. There's a reason why I said that. But that he's probably molested quite a few kids throughout his life. Like, he's not just suddenly doing this, right? It's the end result. Like, it's the end result of probably a pattern of behavior. Who knows how many kids at the camp over the years that he's done that to. Anyway, so I'm at the scene here where he's burning and the bubbles and all that shit on his face. I like this. This is a really cool practical effect. I totally buy it. And him selling it, like him going, ah! I totally, like, he sold that well. I bought it. What I was going to say, though, was Sleepaway Camp is essentially like Friday the 13th, the original, in the sense that it's almost like a whodunit, right? But what's really cool about doing it in this movie is, although they allude to it could be an adult, it's clearly heavily alluded to the fact that it's one of the kids, but you don't know which kid. And at that age, kids' arms and hands, whether you're male or female, can look very much alike. You take the arm and it depends, and depending on how you shoot it, but if you take the arm and hand of a 11-year-old boy and an 11-year-old girl, they can, under the right circumstances, look virtually the same. Because it's not like one has a lot of hair and one doesn't, or you're still at that age where it could go either way. Whereas when you get to be an adult, nobody's going to mistake my arm and hand for, Tabitha's hand, right? And arm, right? Like, I mean, it's not going to happen. But if Tabitha and I were like, 10 or 11, we probably both could, and at first you might not be too sure. You know what I mean? So it's, I like that aspect of it because it does keep the ambiguity there. Yeah, this guy that's on screen, he's Mike Kellen, the old guy, Mr. Furley. Yes, he died a few months before it was released. Tabitha's laughing. That's right. Jason Nike says, I loved Rogue One. I loved Rogue One. My second favorite, your second favorite Star Wars film. Really, I really liked the characters and it felt like a Vietnam movie with Star Wars. That's just me. Hey, yeah, no, that's totally cool. My issue with, I wanted to like, and I certainly did not like it. I just, coming off of The Force Awakens, I felt, because I think I really enjoyed the energy of that movie and the characters. And the characters I found in Rogue One were just a little one-dimensional. I didn't care about them. That's me. And I know some people have said, well, this is so stupid. Well, yeah, but all the characters were going to die at the end of the movie. So I said, since when is that a reason to not develop your characters? If anything, there have been a plethora of examples throughout the history of cinema with characters who have died at the end of a movie and they've been really well developed. If anything, that's why you develop them, is because you want to be able to emotionally invest in them and care about them. And I just didn't care. I thought it was, it wasn't a bad movie. I mean, listen, it's light years ahead of The Last Jedi. Let's just put it that way. It's not my least favorite. I enjoyed it more than I did the prequels as well. But I don't know. For me, coming off The Force Awakens, there was an energy and I just was like, it was just a little slow and kind of, I found myself checking out a little bit. But that's me, and, like you said, it's your second favorite, right? So this kid here just mooned somebody. Look at these guys in their... Okay, to be fair, I was not this age in 1983. I was only 4 years old, so I would have been, a little kid. But I am very thankful that by the time I got to this age, which would have been about 1991, the early 90s, men wearing tube tops like this was not a thing. Or like fishnetted tube tops. Guys did wear that. Listen, I have a sister who's 15 years older than me and two brothers that are 11 and 9 years older than me. So, although I wasn't this age in the early 80s, I had to, I was very mature for my age, even though I was like, 5, let's say. It was almost like I was 10. My mother said that, and it's because by and large, I was around a lot of adults. Because, if I was 5, the next closest to me was my brother Neil, who was already 14. So he would have his, kids, maybe even, a bit older than here, but, about that age. So I remember all of it really well. Like I remember, the fish-netted tube tops guys used to wear, the short-cutted, not tube tops, it's not the right word, but you know what I'm saying. Half-cut shirts and shit. Thank God when I got to that age, it wasn't in fashion. It wasn't in style because, but jean shorts were though. Jean shorts. I had a lot of pairs of jean shorts and jean shorts that I would cut an old pair of jeans and just, cut them off. I don't know. Have they made a comeback? Have jean shorts made a comeback yet? I don't think they have. At least not for guys, I don't think. It's probably around the corner. So, of course, I'm at the scene, obviously, where they're playing baseball. And where are we? We are 25 minutes and 55 seconds into the movie. Rick Michael says, I totally see what you mean. I think about the ending when I think about this movie and Rogue One's ending. Yeah, that's what I mean, is that it's by and large, I think, what encompasses the joy of in my opinion, of Rogue One is that ending. I think without that ending, I don't know where it would sit. I think it almost gives a false sense of, I don't know. Same with this film. Whereas when you think of A Nightmare on Elm Street or Halloween, you may think of the ending, but it's not generally the only thing you think of or the first thing you think of. Now, you could say, well, that's because, this ending was just so unexpected. And so, well, that's true. But there's nothing, it's fine. There's nothing wrong with the movie. It plays out like an early 80s cheesy camp teen movie that's just pretty run-of-the-mill and standard. When I say run-of-the-mill, I don't mean bad. I just mean cookie cutter, what you would expect. There's nothing, this is the formula that you saw back in the day. It's that kind of movie. And then there's that ending where you're like, oh my God. Jacqueline McEwen says, I had a similar childhood. I have two sisters who are 8 years older and 10 years older than me. Oh, very cool. That's really cool. Yeah, when I tell people that, they're like, oh, so you were the mistake? And I'm like, no, I wasn't a mistake. I was actually planned. And my mom was going to have another baby after me because my sister and my brothers were so much older than me, she wanted to have another sibling that was kind of close to my age, so we could kind of, be buds like how my two brothers were. But she didn't because she was she didn't have she was only 35 when she had me, which is older. It's not ancient or anything, but I guess back in 1979, it may have been considered a little old. Now there are women having babies in their 30s all the time, but 40 years ago, it wasn't really a common thing. So, but she had a rough pregnancy with me, is my understanding. So she decided not to. That's all right, though. More gifts for me. I love how Angela is quiet, because again, I don't want to give anything away, but it's almost like it's too obvious that she's suspicious. But then, of course, we know what ends up do you know what I mean? I can talk about it a bit more maybe when it is revealed, but it almost yeah, I can't say too much. Rick Michael says, I don't think jean shorts have made a comeback yet, thank God. I don't think they have either. I've seen some women wearing them, but women can get away with more, right? Men, I haven't seen men wearing jean shorts. But I had quite a few. I wore many jean shorts and a couple of tie-dye shirts. A couple of tie-dye shirts in the early 90s. They were a big thing. Frank Riker says those shirts are for male birth control. Frank, I love you. That's great. Yeah, it's totally true, man. It's totally true. Light as a feather, stiff as a board. That's right. Jason Knight says, let's hope J.J. Abrams can deliver this Christmas. Well, you know what, buddy? Like I've said, I mean, I'm thinking about doing a video on this, but, you know, toxic fandom has become almost a business. And what I mean by that is, I don't want to get too deep into it because obviously we're talking about Sleepaway Camp, but toxic fandom in my travels down the rabbit hole as of late, and I've been doing a bunch of research, not research, but casual research because I've been planning on doing a video on this. You know, and it's not that there isn't merit to some of the things that people are saying. I get it. I understand it. I thought TLJ was a stinking pile of trash. I understand it. But the toxicity that exists in the world of fandom and the ignorance that also goes along with it, it's become a business, you know, and it becomes the identity of their channel or of who they are. And they know it gets tons of clicks and views and likes and all that kind of stuff. And it just becomes, you know, there's so many people that don't want the rise of Skywalker to succeed. And they don't want it to succeed, not just because they're angry, and rightly so, but because if it succeeds and if they like it, then it totally goes against the identity of what they're building. They have an invested interest in keeping this, you know, of Disney failing because they're building, whether it was intentional or not, they find themselves building an identity around hating Star Wars, and they need to hate it. JJ could knock, I'm not saying he's going to, but he could knock it out of the fucking park and they would still hate it because they have to. They would find they would convince themselves that it's awful. Because, you know, listen, I don't like TLJ either, but I want the Rise of Skywalker to succeed because I'm a Star Wars. I want it to be good. It's not that there isn't merit to some of the choices that have gone on. I get it. I understand it, but I don't want it to fail. I don't want it to fail. I want it to be good. Anyway, that's a video I'm thinking about doing and diving deep into that and the psychology around that because, you know, there are some channels that make very good points and are really good to watch. Most of it is nonsense and noise because these people don't know their asses from their elbows when it comes to how the entertainment industry works. So it's very difficult to take them seriously. It's just a bunch of, you know, and they think they know what they're talking about, but they really don't. And it's just hard to, you know, it's just like, I mean, it's unbelievable. Anyway, enough about that. I'll save it for a video. I better get it done now because that movie comes out in a couple of weeks. So fuck. It's just so, it's irritating. David Ferguson says, I had a pair of denim cutoff shorts and a tie-dye hoodie back in the early 90s too. Yes. Yes, I was right there with you, buddy. Tabitha Short says, that Angela chick acts like she's paralyzed. Yeah, well, she's emotionally paralyzed. And you'll eventually find out why. Jason Knight says, Dave, loved the stream last night with Cecil. I agree. Nightmare Part 2, I have really grown to love. Yeah, me too. I've always liked Elm Street 2. Always. Like, that wasn't just a revelation for me, but it seems like I like it even more now than I did. It is the scariest, and Part 1 is he's scary in that movie. He is scary in that movie. But I gotta say, part 2, I think, has the scariest Freddy. I think the scariest look. The scariest look. I think you could make an argument which version of Freddy is scarier in terms of what they do and the presence that they exhibit in both films. That might still go to part 1. Although part 2, man, coming out of somebody's body is... But the look of Freddy in part 2 is just wild. So I'm at the scene now here where the boy is underneath the canoe. And I think they're about to... Oh, right. So you just see the back of that person. You don't know who it is. And he's dying. What's going on? Look at these topless guys. This guy with the cutoff. These are the ages of my brothers, because my brother Bob, I don't have the photo, but when you sift through old photo albums, from the 80s, there's a couple of photos of my brother Bob who was in a top like that. So it was a big thing. Definitely was a big thing. Frank Reger says, just so much ass. So much ass? Not sure what you're talking. Are you talking about the jean shorts, Frank? Oh, I love the frog on the lake. Yeah, me too. Yeah, I do too. It's just such a funny movie. Did I miss anything here? Yeah, that stream last night was fun. Actually, Cecil and Miko and I, we chatted for probably about another half hour to 40 minutes after the stream was done. It was a lot of fun. Yeah, it was great. That was actually our first time. Ooh, look at that. Great practical effects. That's great. I love the snake coming out of the mouth. I think that's great. That looks really good. That looks really good. Because we had all got together for dinner in Hollywood, or not in Hollywood, actually. It was in Glendale, I think. But anyway, out in Los Angeles a couple of weeks ago. But this was the first time we really had more of an intimate sort of discussion, because obviously when you're trying to have a conversation at a restaurant, it can be kind of loud and everybody was tired. And so, we didn't talk as long as maybe we, had hoped. So it was nice to reconvene and talk again. I'm looking forward to it. And by the way, the Indiegogo campaign has just crossed $27,000. That's amazing. I think we're over 65% or something towards our goal with a couple of weeks left. That is awesome. That is awesome. So I'm excited about it. Frank Reiger says, when the boys ran in the lake. Oh, right. Okay. Look at this guy. This muscle-bound guy. He's just there to walk around like he's like this all the time. Hey, man, what's going on? Hey. Now, this cop here has a mustache, and I believe his mustache that he has here in this scene is a real mustache. But later in the movie, he must have been let go because his role was done, and he must have gone home and shaved off his stash, and then they needed him to come back for a pickup shot or a reshoot or something, because there's a scene at the end of the movie, towards the end of the movie, where he has the worst fake mustache in the history of fake mustaches. And when you see it, especially for Tabitha, who's never seen this movie, you're going to bust a gut. You know what's funny? Last night during the stream with Miko and Cecil, I was telling this funny story about this episode of Fuller House. I don't watch the show, but I caught like an episode or two, and there's just one episode where my girlfriend and I were just laughing hysterically at the absurdity of what was going on. It was just so silly and, kind of dumb. Oh, sorry. Okay. I thought something was going to happen, but it didn't. So I was talking about that, and I meant to say, so I'm telling Cecil and Miko this, and I meant to say I busted a gut laughing, But what I said was I butt gusted instead of gut busted. I butt gusted. And somebody pointed it out in the comment section. And I'm like, oh my God, I butt gusted. What the hell is butt gusting? That's a whole other thing right there. Butt gusting. I meant gut busting. I wonder if Cecil and Miko picked up on that. We're like, butt gusted? The hell does that mean? Oh, that's funny. Tabitha says, still stuck on the loofah, Dave. Oh, you were watching that. Yes. It was so silly. Like, why wouldn't you use the like, why are you going to, okay, as my girlfriend said, okay, let's say there is a bathroom in the basement. Why do you need the loofah? There's no toilet paper in the, like, what are you going to do? Use what? It's just a show. It's a kid show for all intents and purposes, but it's just so silly. I love how this girl, sometimes I get the snobby brunette girl mixed up with Angela because they look very similar. They have very sort of similar looks. I think that was intentional, obviously. But Tabitha Shore says, we thought you said that backwards. Yes! Hashtag butt gusting. I did. And Cecil and Miko didn't say a thing. And I didn't even know I said that, right? Until somebody commented this afternoon and I happened to see the comment. And I commented back and I just put a big, laugh out loud because I was like, butt gusting? The hell? What the hell is butt gusting? I don't understand. Hashtag butt gusting. You got that right, buddy. Make it a hashtag. People need to do more butt gusting in their lives, I think. It's like that just doesn't sound good. I meant gut busting. Oh boy. I'm gonna bring that up the next time I speak to Cecil and Miko and see if they pick that up. Because that's fucking funny. I just think that's funny. Oh, my Lord. So just past the scene where that kid was giving Angela a couple of kisses, but she wasn't really taking it, She was like, I don't really know. You would think that if there was a murder that happened at this camp, a child was murdered. The cook was, well, we don't know if he was, but the cook, that you would think maybe it's time to kind of just call it a day. Maybe the kids need to go home early. I don't know. We had a child murdered. And I know they, try to justify why they don't do that, but it is kind of funny. Frank says, when did Lou Ferrigno get there? Yeah, a little smaller than Lou, but same sort of look, though. Yeah, I get you. Lou Ferrigno. I love Lou Ferrigno. He's great. One of the things I love about watching these types of movies, whether it's Revenge of the Nerds, when I say that, I'm talking like teen type. There I go again. Teen type of movies from the 80s, is they are so clearly defined. Like it becomes almost a satire. Like the cliques and the groups are so clearly defined. Like whether you're watching Revenge of the Nerds, whether you're watching Animal House, which I don't think was that 80s? Was that late 70s? Late 70s, early 80s? Whether it's Sleepaway Camp, whether it's, whatever, prom night, whatever. Not necessarily prom night, but the cliques and the groups, like the nerds are nerds, like they're stereotypes. Like each one is a stereotype. And it's kind of, and it's not that didn't exist. I mean, there were kids like that. I remember being in school, especially high school, where there were kids that really did look like that and really were at the table all by themselves. And then there were the jocks but seeing it play out in a movie, it's almost it's just funny how it is so defined. I love this conversation. It's so great. Oh, my camera's doing it again. Why is my camera doing that? I don't know. Let's see if it... oh, okay. You know what? I'm going to get rid of it again and see if this helps. 1 second, guys. Here we go. Okay. I am gone, but don't worry. I will be back. Sometimes that happens, folks. Sometimes that happens. Da-da-da-da. Okay, let's see here. Do that. Do that. And that. And that. And maybe this will help. Sometimes, I don't know why OBS is doing that. Might be my camera, though. Like maybe I have to unplug it maybe or something, but whatever. It's not really a big deal. It takes me 2 seconds to do what I just did, so... Yeah, like these two girls look very similar, don't they? I mean, if they were to sip it, like I could totally believe that they were sisters. And I think that's intentional in some ways. It's their eyes and eyebrows a little bit, I think. Top of the Short says, the kills are so random in this movie. Yeah, they are. They are. Absolutely. Jason Knight says, I love 80s comedies, action, and horror, such a great time for a movie fan. I couldn't agree more. I mean, you know, everybody thinks their time when they... Listen, I mean, if you grew up in the 50s and the 60s, there was nothing like the 60s, man. If you grew up in the 70s, the 70s, man. The greatest generation, the 70s. You know, you grew up in the 80s, the 80s, man. Now, the 80s were great, though. The 80s, I mean, I think by all measure, a lot of people think the 80s were great. But there are some people that grew up in the 90s. I mean, I grew up in the 90s. I was a teenager in the 90s. But I think more, funny enough, I think more fondly of the 80s than I do the 90s. The 80s, there was a big shift in pop culture. The 80s was a big, like the 90s was just an extension of what the 80s created. Now, obviously, to go back to the root, you can go back past the 80s into the 70s, 60s. I'm talking about that cultural pop culture shift. And in the early to mid 70s, movies changed. And that was thanks to Lucas and Spielberg and Scorsese and, you know, De Palma and Coppola. And, you know, there was the studio system changed. And then Spielberg sort of almost reinvented the wheel of what entertainment and the movie-going experience was like, you know, and then, you know, the introduction of MTV and music, the way entertainment was consumed, and the video game market and Nintendo and cartoons and like things just really sort of took off. And the 90s was just an extension of that. So the 80s, yeah, the 80s there was a big change in the 80s and on how we consume our entertainment and what the entertainment could be. And television was just huge in the 80s. I mean, you know, it was big. At the scene now where Ralph Furley is, we're just going to call him Ralph, was reprimanding the boys, the kids. I love his tube socks. I hope I never get to an age that I am wearing dress shoes with black tube socks. Now, you see these kids here, how they have their socks up to their knees? I totally wore that. Yep. It's funny to look at it now, but in the 80s, you didn't think anything of it. Do they sell... Do they still sell socks that tall? I don't know. David Ferguson says, 70s rock music. Yeah, 70s had some great music. Oh, fuck yeah. Absolutely. I mean, where do you begin? A good place to start is Led Zeppelin. I mean, The Doors, you know. I mean, great shit. You know what's going to happen here. Guy in a horror movie goes into a stall to take a shit. Come on. Come on, you know what's going to happen. That's where I am. Tabitha Short says, Austin wears socks that tall. Ah, that's so cute. I bet. Well, his little legs are not that. His legs are not that big, so it's probably that's really cute. That's really cute. I love that name, Austin. That's a good name. Sounds like it's a good strong name. You know, he's gonna grow up to have like a strong jaw. My name's Austin. I like that name. It's a good name. Jason Knight says, Alice Cooper is my favorite. He was huge in the 70s. He was big in the 70s, dude. Absolutely. Oh, yeah. Like each decade is an extension of what came before, right? And there's a lot of overlap. The 80s, though, was a decade where so many things just like was turned into high gear. Like movies changed. The way we consume our entertainment. What movies could be. The blockbuster didn't exist in the 50s. I mean, there were versions of... You can point to certain movies like Gone with the Wind or, you know, The Wizard of Oz or, you know, Casablanca or, you know, Singing in the Rain. You know, I mean, you can point to certain movies and say, well, that would have been that's a blockbuster, right? If the term existed then, or, you know, if it was a big thing. Look at this. I love this. Oh, all the bugs and shit. All the flies. It's a great practical effect. Does anybody know who did the practical effects on this movie? It wasn't Savini. Was it? Was it Savini? It wasn't Baker. I don't think it was Baker. I think Baker was doing much higher shit by this point. Because Rick Baker did, I think he was doing much, much more higher end films. Relative. What was I saying? Oh, yeah. Yeah, and then, like, when the studio system changed in the early to mid-70s, and they started going after young talent being the Lucases, the Spielbergs, the Scorseses, they changed the game. They changed... Steven Spielberg, Lucas as well, but Spielberg especially changed the way movies, I mean, the way we can, of what movies could be, you know, Lucas too. I mean, they fundamentally they invented, for all intents and purposes, the blockbuster. It began with Jaws, and then it continued with Star Wars, and then, you know, Close Encounters and E.T., and then the Back to the Future films, and just, it goes on and on and on, and Spielberg didn't direct the Back to the Future movies, but he was a producer on it. It was just, it just moved right into, like, hyperdrive, you know? And it was crazy. In all forms of entertainment. Music, movies, video games. Because technology expands exponentially, right? So it's just going to get more and more and more and faster and faster and faster. And the gap between technology is going to be very different. Marginal in terms of, you know, one thing to the next. It's just going to be that way. So I'm at the scene here where Angela and her little boy, her little man, are kissing while lying on the beach. Stan Winston. Stan Winston did this? You're joking. You have to be joking. Really? Are you serious? Maybe you are. Maybe you are. Was it Stan Winston? Really? If you are, no, Frank's laughing. Okay, yeah, no, I didn't think it was Stan Winston. Whoever did it though was good. Okay, now pay close attention to this flashback here. For those of you that who have not seen this film, it's important to pay close attention to these things. I like this. I like this arcing camera, this dark room. You know, it's. I like that you don't see anything else, but you know, I like that. I like that flashback. I thought that was really good. Frank Reiger says the kids who survive this camp get a free trip to Crystal Lake. That'd be awesome. That'd be great. That'd be great. Yeah, this is one of those movies where it's so hard to talk about it without talking about the ending. So when the ending does come, then I'll have a few little more things to say. But I definitely I don't know, when I look at the production value and I look at the trees and the grass and the haircuts and the way everybody looks, I'm like, they're a little older than I was in 1983, obviously. But I remember it very well. I mean, I don't know. Because I don't have kids of my own, I'm very disconnected from what is current today with kids. Our kids, I mean, I know kids still get out and play, but are kids do kids still go out and ride their bikes around? I was having this conversation with my buddy the other day. Do kids still do that? Like, just go out and just, like, after school, they're just like, hey, man, you want to go out and ride our bikes? And they go out and they ride their bikes around. Do kids still do that? And shit, I don't know. I see so many kids, like, at, like, 10, 11, who have phones and shit. Here in the province of Ontario, here in Canada, we have provinces as opposed to states. And I live in Ontario, obviously, Toronto, Ontario. And in the province of Ontario, our premier, which is like your governor, per se, I think Jason Nike's in the chat. He lives in Ontario here. I think he can either confirm or deny if this is true or not. Jason's not too far away from me. I think they just passed a law in Ontario elementary schools, I think, where kids have to, or maybe it's high school, maybe it's elementary. No, I think it's high schools. I don't know. Anyway, where kids have to put away their phones while they're in class. And I think, anyway, and I'm like, well, yeah, like, I wouldn't even, like, I remember when I got to high school, we were allowed to wear our cap because I'm a hat guy, right? In grades like kindergarten through 8, we weren't allowed to wear hats in class. We had to take them off. And then when I went to high school, we were allowed to wear them. So that was what I thought was really cool. I'm thinking, I can't even imagine having a phone in class. How distracting would that be? And being a teacher to have to, like, monitor that? Like, oh, yeah. So when I heard that on the news, I was like, yeah, that makes sense. Of course. Why do you need phones in the, if there's an emergency, the parent calls the school and the school has you come down to the office. I mean, it's just do it like we've always done it when we were growing up. I don't know. Where I gone on that, I have no idea. So now I'm at the scene here where I'm just going to call her the bitch. The bitch has seduced Angela's little man. Angela has walked up on it. She's seen it. And the guy's like, Angela, no, wait. And the bitch is like, I totally did that on purpose. Look at her. She's all like, fucker. Yeah, that's right. And they totally set this up to make you think, obviously, that because she's the snot, right, the bitch, they want you to think that she's the one that's responsible for all this. And, she could be. I'm not going to say anything. Darren Sands is here. Evening, folks. Better late than never. That is true. 100%. Jason Nike says, I have 3 boys and I keep them as active as I can. It's hard in the winter here in Canada. No video games during the week in my house with my boys. Well, that's great. That's really great. I like that. Good job, buddy. It's just so weird. It's so, because again, not having kids, I'm not familiar with. I mean, there's a lot of things that my buddy Bruce will say, because he has 2 kids, and they're older. I mean, because he had them very young. His son Mateo is 21. His son Mateo is 18, and his other son is 16. But there's a lot of things that they talk about that I don't even know. Like, I don't even know what's going on. I'm so disconnected from it. And now I feel like kind of like how my dad was when I was a teenager. There were things I would talk about, like the Sega Genesis. My dad was like, what the hell is a Sega Genesis? And it's like, it makes perfect sense, right? It's like, what, and then, you let him in on, and he came to know what it was. But I mean, makes sense, right? And let's not be mistaken. I mean, these are not phones. This is not a phone. It's a pocket computer that can also make phone calls. That's what this is. Because really, at the end of the day, how often are you on it like this, going, hey, what's going on? You can make a phone call if you have to, but this is a pocket computer. Smartphones are pocket computers. They should just be called smart computers, or pocket computers, although that sounds a little lame. Sounds a little nerdy, but that's what they are. They're computers. They're pocket computers. That's what they are. That just so happens to make phone calls. It's crazy. So now we're at the point where this guy is taking Angela over the shoulder. He's going to throw her in the lake, and Mr. Furley totally have a light on him or a reflector. You can totally tell that they're probably reflecting either sunlight or maybe a key light they have set up. It's great though. Independent, low budget filmmaking, man. Love that shit. Let go of me. Let go of me. Gonna throw her in the water. No, you gotta go in, Angela. You can't just stay behind and never participate in anything. You gotta get involved. That's basically what's going on here, right? And she doesn't want to go in, and there's a very specific reason why she doesn't want to go in. I will just say that she's... I can't even say that because it'll give something away. God damn it! But there's a reason. There's a reason. Actually, there's a couple of reasons why. She did the role well. And the actress who played her, I believe, is going to be in Terrifier 2, if I'm not mistaken. One of the producers of Terrifier 2, who I met at the Halloween convention last year, really nice guy. His name's Michael Levy. He was posting photos the other day I saw from the set, and she's in it, which I think is kind of cool. It's great. It's great. It's great. Let me see. Jason Knight says, no hats in school, still where my boys go to school. Yeah. Are your kids in high school or are they younger? Because when I was younger, like when I was 10, 11, 12, we couldn't wear hats. But when I hit 14 and I went to high school, we actually could wear hats in high school, which was great because I'm a hat guy. So I was all excited. I think I was more excited about that than anything else. Jason Knight says, anyone want to see a great Canadian horror movie? Watch Visiting Hours from 1982, filmed in Montreal. I've never heard of that. Visiting Hours, 1982, Montreal. All right, I'm going to check it out. Hey, another Canadian horror movie, although it's a co-production, really. But I believe it was shot up here. I think it was shot up here. Maybe even in Montreal, I can't remember now, is The Changeling with George C. Scott. That's a good movie. Frank Riker says, Genesis does. You can't do this on Nintendo. Genesis does. Yes. Yeah. Sega Genesis was great. I had one. And I had a Nintendo as well. I never bought into this. So this girl, by all measure, she's an attractive girl, right? Young, attractive young lady. If I was, that age, certainly I would think she was very pretty for sure. She's into Ralph Furley. I'm just calling him that. It's obviously not Don Knotts, but really? I never bought into it. Unless I'm missing something. Is there something that somebody can sort of say? Because I remember as a kid, I didn't, when I first watched this movie as a kid, I didn't think much of it. But now, when I watch it, I'm kind of is she using him for something? Is there something I'm missing? Sleepaway Camp fanatics, you can comment and let me know. But I'm just that's just weird. Just strange. I could see her maybe being into the muscle guy, But that's a cool shot when the door opens and you see the silhouette of somebody holding the knife, and it's so easy to do. I love shit like that, and that is such an easy shot to create. Very easy. And it's very effective. Oh no, she's getting stabbed. I love this. With every slash of the knife, it's, oh, ah, ooh. You kind of saw it coming because, you know. But it works. It works. I love how you just put the knife in there and just kind of have, you know. I'm going to wash it off. A lot of fade to blacks in this movie to transition from scene to scene. Jason Knight says the exterior of the It House was filmed down the street from me in Oshawa, Ontario. Yes, that's right. It was filmed, Derry is Port Hope, I believe, right? And Port Hope is, it was shot up here. Yep. I believe, I stand to be corrected. I gotta ask Bruce if White's supplied the gear for that. White's is the company that Bruce works for. It stands for, it's short for, it's the company's name is William F. White International, but everybody just calls them White's for short. And it's the largest distributor of motion picture and television equipment in Canada. You've heard me say that before, I think. Anyway, so there are other companies too that do that here, but White's is the largest. And so, but I don't know if the production went to White's or if they went to one of the competitors. I think they did go to White's. I'll have to ask Bruce because he would know. I'll have to ask. But yeah, they shot in Port Hope, which stood in for Derry. And Port Hope is just a little town like an hour and a bit from Toronto. His toupee is killer. Oh, the old guy? Is he wearing a toupee? I didn't look closely enough. Maybe that's what it was. Maybe she's into guys with toupees. That's what it was. David Ferguson says, Visiting Hours I saw years ago. Was Michael Ironside in it? Takes place mostly in a hospital. I remember it being very good. Fascinating. And then Jason follows up with, you're right, Michael Ironside, and he is a cousin of mine, my dad's first cousin. Yes, I remember you talking about that. That's really cool. First cousin. Rock on, man. I knew a kid in elementary school whose third cousin, I believe, which I know that's not really that special, but I believe his third cousin, if memory serves, was John Candy. And I remember thinking that was really cool because who doesn't love John Candy? Somebody, but I love John Candy. And I remember that. That's really cool. That's cool, yeah. I'll have to check that out. Visiting Hours. I'm going to check it out. I don't think I missed anything, did I? No, I think so. So where are we here? We are an hour and 7 minutes into the movie. So we're approaching the climax of the movie, which is coming very soon. I'll be very curious to know if Tabitha saw it coming or was able to figure it out. It is pretty shocking to the point where you're like, what? Didn't see that? And then it all kind of makes sense once you kind of watch it again or kind of piece it together. But like so far as you can see, it's a run-of-the-mill. It's not a bad movie. It's not horrible or anything. It's not like unwatchable, but it's a pretty standard cookie cutter, low budget, early 80s teen little slasher movie. It's up there with, The Burning and your Friday the 13th and, other movies. I think Friday the 13th is a better movie, but I'm just saying it's in there. It's in the fam, right? Yeah, I think Friday the 13th is light years ahead of this movie because I think it's got better mood, it's got better music, I think Sean S. Cunningham is a better director. I mean, he had a better sense of how to, choreograph and build suspense and how to use camera angles and tension and, it's just a better movie. But as you can see, this is just kind of a standard little teeny bopper slasher movie. There's nothing special about it. And then you get to the end and it's like, what what the fuck? And everybody, you know, loves that ending. And I guess it is kind of crazy. Frank Riker says Bobby and Greg Brady. Oh, V was great. V was great. You're talking about the show. Oh, I see. David Ferguson says it's cool. He is a good actor. Loved. Oh, V. Yes, V. The show, you mean V? And Total Recall. Yep. Total Recall. Yep. That's what, whenever I think of Total Recall, that's what I think of. So this girl, the bitch, as I'll call her, I keep forgetting her name. She's going to get what's coming to her. You're going to get what's coming to you, you son of a bitch. Whether you like it or not. Jason Knight says, he does a lot of voiceover, Dave. His big gig was the main character in Splinter Cell, the video game. Very cool. Yeah. You're talking about you're talking about Michael Ironside? Oh, ooh, look at that. I like that, though. I like how there's like a thing right down the... Yeah, it does kind of look like a toupee. Now, that's definitely not like a bust in terms of like being a fake person. I think that's actually the actress lying on her stomach, and they just did her up like that, which is cool. Looks good. I like how this guy's like, oh, I'm going to get that kid, because he's so hell-bent that it is that boy, right? He's so convinced. He's like, damn, I lost out on my chance to have that young woman. I'm never going to get that chance again. He's pissed. Darren Sand says, I always feel the movie's a fluke. I don't believe the director was trying to be progressive at all. It's a poorly made movie with an ending that for some reason people feel is smarter than it is. However, it's incredibly fun to watch. I had no idea that, oh, you mean progressive by being risky in the sense of, oh, look at this. Here's a shocking ending that nobody's ever seen. Oh, I agree with you 100%. I agree with everything that Darren has said there. It was essentially, yeah, I mean, because of its ending that it has remained in the pop culture consciousness. If it wasn't for that ending, that is going to come very shortly, and I'm keeping it on the down low because Tabitha, as far as I know, I think she's the only one in here that hasn't seen it, but I don't want to ruin it for her. Oh no! Whatever. I'll pick that up later. I agree that it's that end. If it wasn't for that ending, I think this movie would have just fell into the other along with, you know, well, I think The Burning is a better movie, but I just mean, you know, like your Prom Night, it's just one of those ones like, oh yeah, I remember that. Oh yeah, I remember that. You know, but because it had that ending, they felt, let's do it, you know, they made a few more out of it. I like that. I like the shadow of the hand. I that's cool. I think I would have gone tighter in on the shot. I think I would have gone in tighter on the silhouette of the hand on the wall. I like the creative choice. I think that's a cool shot. But I would have gone in tighter and just seeing like the hand kind of, you know, not like right up, but just a bit closer. Jason Knight says the practical effects were good in this. Yeah, they were. They were all right. Yes, I definitely will say that the practical effects in this movie were actually all right. But as Darren says, and as I've been saying through most of the stream, it's not a great movie. It's fun because you know where it's leading to. But without that ending, you know, and then you could say, well, yeah, but that ending's there, Dave. So therefore that makes, and you know, I get it. I get it. The ending exists and you have to judge it on its own merits. The ending is there. But as Darren says, I don't think know, but I don't necessarily think it was this intentional, progressive, real deep sort of, no, I think it was for shock effect. And it was cool. Because I think the rest of the movie would have been better if the plan was to build a film and a narrative around a shocking ending. The ending's shocking, but the rest of the movie's mundane. And I think if there was a real conscious creative choice to build something that was really progressive, and when we mean progressive, we don't mean in the way it's being used today, unfortunately. We're talking about like a more of a, something that is maybe a little avant-garde. Oh, we're still there? I think we're still there. Yep, we're still there. Hello, hello, hello? Yeah, we're still there. Okay. Yeah, just something that was a little sort of, it was a risk, certainly in 1983. But I think you would have seen more evidence of that building towards it. And there's bits and pieces, but yeah. So this guy kills the kid. Ralph Furley just killed the kid. And this scene is like straight out of Friday the 13th, almost. He walks onto the archery range and he gets an arrow in the neck. Okay, folks, here comes the worst mustache in the history of mustaches. This is the worst mustache of all. Now, no, oh, wait a minute. It actually looks like he has okay, no. The mustache he has here is his real mustache. Okay. But coming up soon, when he comes out, he obviously had shaved it off. And they needed this pickup shot. So they taped, it almost looks like they just taped electrical tape to his upper lip. That's what it looks like. You'll see it. It is awful. It is awful. It's coming up. It's so bad. David Ferguson says, wow, Robin Hood would have been proud of that shot. Yeah, that's right. Darren Sen says, you only have to see the director's attempt at a sequel to realize he's null of any talent. Well, okay, interesting you bring that up because as I mentioned earlier in the stream before you arrived, I haven't seen any of the sequels. I've only seen the first movie. I was unaware that he directed the sequel. So, because I didn't like this movie enough to invest my time into watching the remainder of the series. I can watch this movie and it's like, as you said, it's fun. It's fun, but it's not good enough for me to invest in anymore. So I've never seen any of the sequels. So I didn't know that. Thank you very much, Darren. I'll check that out. And then I'm sure you're absolutely right. Yeah. So right now, this cop has his real stash. At least it looks like it could be a real mustache. And if it's not, it's a much better fake mustache. Nonetheless, it's just, it looks fine. It looks fine. Jason Knight says, on the lighter side, gonna have to watch Ernest Goes to Camp. Oh, I love Ernest Goes to Camp. Maybe I should put that on the list of camp comedies or something next. That I love that movie. Absolutely love that movie. Down goes Frasier. Here it comes. Here it comes. The greatest. Look at this. Look at. Oh my God. This is the greatest fake mustache of all time. I would never have let this fly. I would never. I don't know if they were on time crunch or if they just couldn't. I mean, listen, it's a $300,000 picture. I understand time is of the essence. Maybe that's all they could do. But then maybe I just wouldn't have. I would never have let that flown. Never. I just would not. I would have said, this is awful. I would have shot it maybe over the shoulder when he comes out, and then maybe just do a close-up from here up of his eyes or something, going, like something. I would have sacrificed. I would never have shown that. It looks awful. Oh my God, it's bad. Some horrible shit. Anyways, here it comes, folks. The ending you've been waiting for. The moment you've been waiting for. The realization that, wait a moment, oh my God. Now pay close attention here. I'm going to shut up so you can listen to what Katy Perry is saying here to this kid. Oh my God. Katy Perry called. She wants her wardrobe back. Or this woman called Katy Perry. She wants her wardrobe back. My God. There, look. It's coming, folks. Pay close attention. Well, you're not going to miss it. That's for sure. There it is. There it is, folks. Here it comes. It can't be. It can't be. We're backing up. She's a woman, or she's a guy. Angela is a guy. And this is a still frame. They've painted her face on a boy's body. For some reason, Angela's now really stocky and bulky. It's just incredible. She's like the Wolfman. Darren. She was a boy the whole time, ladies and gentlemen. I do love this end credit music, though. I like this. I like this music. That is the shock, ladies and gentlemen. It was a boy the whole time. And if I'm not mistaken, yeah, that's actually a it's a boy's body, obviously, and it's a still image, and they've put composited Angela's face on it. Obviously, it's not Angela, but no, really, Dave? So it's funny shit. Frank says, my prom night ended the same way. Oh my God. Oh, Frank, I'm really sorry to hear that. I'm really sorry to hear that. Oh my God, that is Sleepaway Camp, ladies and gentlemen. Tabitha, are you still in the chat room watching? Were you able to see the shocking ending of Sleepaway Camp from 1983? Oh, Tabitha says, bath time for Austin, guys. Good times. Talk to you later. Talk to you later, Tabitha. Have a wonderful night. Thank you for tuning in. Thank you, as usual, for your support each and every month of the channel. You rock. I knew it was her. Did not know she was a boy. Ah, there you go. Yeah, and that's the ending, right? I mean, that's when, like, everyone's like, what? And if it wasn't for that ending, I don't think Sleepaway Camp would be in the horror consciousness. It would be there, but certainly not to the level that it is. It's not a horrible movie. I mean, certainly I've seen far worse movies, but I don't think it's a great movie. Certainly not as great as some people think it is. I would love to know if take care. Bye, Tabitha. I'd love to know if Sleepaway Camp is anybody's favorite horror movie. Not necessarily here in the chat. I doubt that's the case here. But I should do a poll. Maybe I'll do a poll on Twitter or something. Or Facebook. I'm not sure. Can you do polls on Instagram? I don't know if you can. Nah, probably not. Anyway, I'd love to know, is Sleepaway Camp somebody's absolute favorite horror movie of all time? It's Sleepaway Camp. It's got to be somebody's. If you think about it, it's got to be somebody's. The Crying Game, indeed. Oh, yeah. Whenever I think of The Crying Game, I actually don't think of The Crying Game. I think of Ace Ventura and Jim Carrey in the bathroom when she finds out that Finkel is Einhorn and Einhorn is Finkel, and he's in the bathroom with the plunger going like this with the plunger, and the Crying Game music is playing. I love it. Later, Rick. Have a good night, buddy. Take care. Yeah, Finkel is Einhorn. Einhorn is Finkel. I love that movie. Absolutely love that movie. Yeah, Sleepaway Camp. That's crazy stuff, guys. That's funny. Okay, so Two Dudes and Some Bullshit is Monday night, 9:00 p.m. Eastern time. I realize it's a little later than usual, but Tony actually has some work that he's doing that night, so he's not going to be able to connect until about 9. We're going to be watching The Exorcist live. Now, I know that Tony and I think it was episode 24, so it was a few months back now, where we actually did a show where we talked about The Exorcist, but we're going to actually watch The Exorcist live and give, commentary while we're watching and taking your questions, and that's Monday night at 9:00 p.m. Eastern time, and I'll have the schedule for the Patreon schedule for December out either tomorrow or Monday, one of the 2 days, because there's something I want to do with you guys. I just want to figure out how I'm going to make it work, because I think it'd be kind of fun. So, and it would be open to everybody, all patrons. So I just got to make sure that I'm available to do it. So I think it'll be kind of fun. All right. So that is going to do it for me here on this episode of Saturday Movie Night. Thank you to my patrons, of course, for your continued support each and every month. You guys rock. I love you guys. Thank you so much. It is greatly appreciated. It helps keep these things going and scheduling the time for me to do this kind of stuff. And onward and upward, we're continuing to make gains here. And it's been a lot of fun. I love doing these kinds of things with you guys. So it's just awesome. And if you're tuning in after the fact and watching it after the stream is done, thank you for your continued support just by tuning in, man. Just by tuning in. You guys rock too. Alrighty, that's going to do it for me on Saturday Movie Night. I will talk to you guys soon. Cheers.